Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Zimbabweans are an extremely religious people, most of them Christians. And the fear of God is at the heart of that society. Before that, before Christianity, the people believed in the influence of the ancestral spirits. So it is not surprising that with the coming of religion, of Christianity, the people moved from believing in the ancestral spirits to believing in God. But I think our politicians are exploiting that for their own selfish ends. Here is the latest of Nelson Chamisa submission on the platform X, declaring God's good works. But it is good for me to draw near to God. I put my trust in the Lord that I may declare all my works. It's a quotation from Psalms. I choose to occupy myself with the utterance of the true men of God concerning Zimbabwe's future. Zimbabwe shall be first and not the last. Chamisa, I believe, is hiding behind the Bible verses, to give the impression that he is, as he claims, touched by God. I don't believe that he is touched by God. For the simple reason that he has said again and again, making out what I can only call as outrageous statements about God and what God has told him to do, only to find that he was not telling the truth. Chamisa has said before the 2023 elections that Triple C was going to win those elections, win big, because he had plugged all the vote rigging loopholes. Hashtag God is in it. He even evoked the name of God. I repeat, Zanu PF blatantly rigged those elections. Anyone who was following the Zimbabwe elections would have told you that Zanu PF was going to rig those elections. Indeed, ever since the country's independence, Zanu PF has rigged the elections. In 2018, Chamisa himself admitted that Zanu PF rigged those elections, after having made a similar claim that MDC Alliance had put in place stringent measures to stop Zanu PF rigging the elections. The day after the voting was done, he was the first one to say Zanu PF had rigged those elections. The very thing that he had said would not happen, go on to happen. I think as a people, we really need to start questioning some of these outrageous claims, particularly when they evoke the name of God. we have got to hold our leaders to account. But I think many people would also hesitate to say they would want to hold God to account. In this case here, we can't hold God to account because it is not God who said he was involved in Chamisa's schemes. As much as Chamisa said God was in it, there was nothing to show that God was indeed in it. And indeed, when Zanu PF went on to blatantly rig the elections, it's proof that God was never in these harebrained schemes of Chamisa. Here he is claiming that he was preparing to form the cabinet, and it was God's plan that MCCC would win.
Makorokoto Zimbabwe nokuti hakuna munhu anomira kana denga raronga plan. Denga raronga plan, denga harifo iri. Plan ya Mwari haifo iri. Ini ndatanga kugadzira cabinet. There is no way we are not going to form a new cabinet. There is no way we are not going to have a celebration. There is no way we are not going to have an inauguration. Let's start preparing for our inauguration. Let's start preparing for our celebration.
Chamisa was lying. I cannot overemphasize that. And I think people of Zimbabwe have got to accept a simple truth like that. Here is an occasion where Chamisa was taken to task by a BBC reporter on this issue of lying.
Ende patakasangana na Trump akatibvunza naye vakomana mari yamuri kuda kuti nyika ifambe imari.
Serious questions were raised about your behaviour in Washington, D.C. You did see some senior people on Capitol Hill, some Congress people, but you also claimed that you'd seen Donald Trump. You claimed you had a conversation with him in which you said he asked you how much you needed to move the country forward. You told him $15 billion, and he said to you that he would provide the money if you won the election. That was not true, was it?
Sangana na Trump akatibvunza naye vakomana mari yamuri kuda kuti nyika ifambe imari.
It was not true that you'd seen Donald Trump and that Donald Trump indicated to you that he would provide, if you won the election, $15 billion.
All those statements were said by other people, not what I said.
Akasangana na Trump akatibvunza naye vakomana mari yamuri kuda kuti nyika ifambe imari.
Well, no, because there is a video which shows you at a rally in January back home in Zimbabwe saying that Donald Trump had pretty much promised you $15 billion. To be clear, because some people in Zimbabwe are still confused, you're now telling me you did not meet Donald Trump.
We did not.
That is the reality. I think the people of Zimbabwe have got to wake up to the reality that Chamisa, as much as he wants to claim to be close to God and holy people, he is not. Chamisa is just another ordinary mortal. And people must have the courage to take him to hold him to account, just like any other political leader. Chamisa and these MDC friends have had 25 years on the political stage. Their number one task was to implement the democratic reforms to stop Zanu PF rigging the elections. Let's be very clear on that. And yet the truth of the matter is 25 years down the line, Zanu PF is still able to blatantly rig the elections because not even one token reform was implemented. Even when Chamisa and company had the opportunity to do so during the GNU. This is the problem that we are facing in Zimbabwe. And for him to keep on hiding behind the Bible and Bible verses so that he cannot be held to account for lying is ridiculous. It's for us to tell him that he has got to be accountable. He is a liar. This whole facade, smoke screen, hashtag God is in it, is just to con people and make them believe in his lies. I'm not a pastor, nor would I want to claim to be very religious. But the little I know of religion, I can quote you that at one point Jesus did say to his disciple, I sent you out as sheep among the wolves. Be as cunning as a serpent, and yet as harmless as doves. I believe that what the Lord meant by that is that we have got to be aware of the fact that there are some among us who will take advantage of our being trusting. We should not blindly follow what some people say, what some of these leaders say. And to continue to follow blindly what somebody like Chamisa said, after 25 years with nothing to show for it, is exactly what God was trying to warn us against. He doesn't want us to be like sheep, following blindly what somebody tells us. He gave mankind a discerning mind to think for ourselves, to keep on participating in flawed elections, so flawed that you don't even have something as basic as a verified voters roll, I think is one of the most reckless things that anyone can do. Why would you keep on participating in an election process that is flawed, that you admit yourself is flawed, because you expect God to step in? Is that not good, putting God to the test? How many times do we want to keep on putting God to the test? Chamisa is preparing to con people to participate in flawed elections in 2028. And we have got to be a lot smarter than to be conned into believing his idiotic lie that he can win rigged elections. The most pathetic situation we can do is to accept the nonsense that we should give up free, fair, and credible elections because we can win rigged elections. Why do we want rigged elections? We never wanted rigged elections. The people of Zimbabwe never risked everything to elect MDC into power so that they could participate in flawed elections in the hope of winning rigged elections. The purpose of MDC, the reason why the people have risked everything these last 25 years to elect MDC CCC leaders was so that they would implement the democratic reforms to stop Zanu PF rigging the elections. We should be smart enough to agree that they failed to carry out that purpose. And I think it is laughable, to say the least, that Chamisa should try to keep on conning us into believing that his plans, God are in his plans. God is part and parcel of his plans, that people will keep on participating in flawed elections. That is not so. That was never the case. Think about it. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.